The PacMoore value of integrity sounds like this. PacMoore employees will tell the truth under all circumstances, even when the cost is high. Our words will be consistent with our actions, and we will be accountable for what we say and what we do. The training today will describe those three attributes of integrity: truth, consistency, and accountability. It's going to take 30 minutes, but I promise you, if you stay awake, if you stay with me, you're going to be blessed. It's going to help you, because when you take this value home, when you take all our values with you, you leave them and you start living them and you put them inside of you, your work experience is going to be a lot better. You'll like your work. Your people and your friends that work with you are going to like you. They're going to appreciate you because they're going to see something in you that's good. It's going to make your work experience better. The same thing's going to happen when you go home. If you take these values and you work on them, you make them part of who you are, when you go home, your family's going to notice a difference. Your mom, your brothers, your sisters, if you're married, your wife, your husband, they're going to see a difference in you. Your kids, if you have kids, are going to see a difference in you. It's going to make your family and your home a better place. So we're giving you a gift of something that you can take with you. And the last thing I want to tell you is that if you practice integrity, you're going to experience something that we learn about in the Scriptures. There's a guy that just came out with a book. It's called Poverty of Nations, and he figured out from the Bible there's 79 ways that nations prosper around the world, and they're all talked about in the Bible. And one of the great ways that nations prosper is they develop a culture of honesty and a culture of hard work. Those are two of the 79 ways: a culture of honesty and a culture of hard work. And they've discovered that when countries do that, when they're honest and they work hard, they actually begin to prosper. And I will tell you, if you work on your integrity, your honesty in your character, you will see that it will help you begin to prosper. And maybe not just monetarily, but in other ways that you had not thought about. And so there's something here that's of value to you, and I would encourage you to stick with it. I know it's hard. I know for a lot of you, you're coming off third shift, you've been working all night, you're tired. It's like, man, Bill, you're asking a lot of me, and I am asking a lot of you, and I just ask you to stay with it because it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm going to give you a gift that's worth it, all right? And so, yeah, help each other stay awake and stick with it. So, all right, Scotty, roll this video and watch this video real quick. I'm going to ask you a question. Keep your eye on the screen, all right?
Whoa, dude. You thinking what I'm thinking? Yo, I'm going to cut the gap. Yeah. Dude, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going in.
What are you thinking right now? What's he going to do?
Steal the beer.
Steal the beer. Anybody else feeling that vibe? All right, Scotty, roll it.
Integrity. Pass it on. Save the day. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
When I saw that, I thought exactly the same thing. That guy's going to G-snatch that beer, man. He's going to rob that truck. Unbelievable. What do you think's inside of him that made him do that? Why did he do the right thing? The driver could see him through the mirror. He knew he'd get busted. That's great. That's definitely one thought. He thought he'd get caught. That's one reason why he'd do it. What might be another reason he did the right thing? His upbringing. Somebody said, yeah, his mom and dad raised him the right way. Yeah. When you saw him do the right thing, how'd you feel about that guy? Did you feel bad about him or good about him? What'd you feel about that guy? You feel good about him, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, that's how I felt too. When I saw him do the right thing, I felt really good about that young man. When I first saw him, he looked like kind of a redneck hillbilly. You know, he's going to be bad boy, you know, kind of do something stupid. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Why are we watching this? And then he does something right, and my feelings for him changed immediately. And I thought, wow, what a good young man. That's neat to see somebody behave that way, you know. And that's the point of integrity, isn't it? When people see you act with integrity, they don't feel bad about you. They feel good about you. It inspires them. It gives them a warm feeling. It gives them a sense that they can trust you, doesn't it? And that's what we saw in this young man. This young man had something in his character that caused him to do the right thing. We call that integrity. And it did come from his upbringing. It did come from his mom and his dad raising him the right way. You know, somebody took the time to teach him what it means to do the right thing. And he did the right thing. And you could tell it wasn't the first time he had done it. He'd practiced that. And doing the right thing takes practice. It does. You got to get used to doing that. And for some of us, it's a muscle we don't use a lot. But once we start practicing, that muscle will get strong and the right thing will be coming out of you all the time. People with integrity are honest people, aren't they? They're honest people. The word integrity comes from a Latin word. It's called integer. And this word integer means whole, complete. When you have integrity, you're whole. You're complete. There's nothing missing. Nothing's missing from your character. Your character is whole. It's complete. You've got things in you that tell you what is right, tell you what is wrong. People with integrity are honesty. They do what is right when nobody's looking. Even though maybe somebody might have been looking in that rearview mirror, he did the right thing because it was the right thing to do. People that have integrity are honest, but they also keep their promises. They do what they say they're going to do. And they take full responsibility without hesitation when they make a mistake. That's what people do that have integrity. So today we're going to describe those three facets of integrity in more detail. Let me start by talking about truth. Integrity is truth. Our core value of integrity says PacMoore employees will tell the truth under all circumstances, even when the cost is high. People with integrity tell the truth. People lacking integrity, that have something missing in who they are, lie. And a desire to lie indicates that honesty is missing from your character. When you have that desire to lie, it means something's missing. You're not whole. There's something wrong there, right? Modern research in the Bible actually come to the same conclusion on lying. This is going to be hard to believe, but everyone at some point in their life will lie. And that's not shocking to anybody, is it? By age 4, 90% of children have lied. Can you believe that? By age 4, 90% of children have lied. The average 6-year-old lies at least once every 90 minutes. The average adult says they only lie twice a day. The average adult actually lies 5 to 6 times per day. 60% of people lie every 10 minutes. That's a big number, isn't it? 60% of people lie every 10 minutes. Get a load of this. If you're on internet dating sites, 90% of people lie that are on internet dating sites. We're all worried about one guy in here. I don't know who it is, all right? 40% of employees lie on their resumes. Can you believe that? That's just such a big number. It's hard to say, but I got to admit, I've definitely lied in a number of situations. And I can say that's definitely something I've done in my lifetime. Let me just share a few of mine, see if you can relate to them. I was pulled over, hard to believe, at one point by a policeman not too long ago. And I was afraid I was going to get another ticket. And I said, "Officer, I had absolutely no idea I was speeding." Not too long ago, I was standing in a room with some fairly prestigious CEOs, guys that had big companies doing really well. And I was a little uneasy in that setting. I thought, man, I'm just a little company. What am I doing, you know? And so I wanted to inflate my resume a bit. So I was asked, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I have companies all over the world." And I do, but there's like only 1 or 2 people in those, you know. So, I mean, wasn't a total lie, but it was certainly a fabrication that made them think I was bigger than I was. I had a person standing next to me, came into work one day, and I knew I really needed to get something out of him that day. And I was like, man, you know, I just need this to happen. So I looked at him and said, "Man, you really look amazing today." Total lie. Didn't feel that way at all. I just made it up because I wanted to, you know, get something out of him. And This one's good. Scotty will appreciate this. I go to the airport a lot, and the airport parking lot is huge. And there's a train that you can take, and a few times my wife and I have pulled in, and I've looked at the parking lot, and it's packed full, and I have to go way in the back. It's like a 10-minute walk, and I'm like, oh, man. So on one occasion or more, I've said to my wife, is there any reason we should park in the back? Your mom gave us this handicap sticker. Why don't we park in the front? Because nobody really uses them anyway. And we did. Are any of your lies coming to mind right now? Stuff you've told a lie about popping into your head? Let me describe some of the lies you've told me over the years. It's a long list. And some of them are really quite funny. Had a young guy come up to me not too long ago, and this guy is known for never bringing lunch to PacMoore. And he likes to mooch meals off of people. And he came up and said, hey, Bill, I forgot my lunch. Can you buy me a sandwich? He didn't forget his lunch. He never brings his lunch. He just goes around and asks everybody else for it. Every employee has said this. Every employee has said this. I'm sick today. I can't make it in. Yeah, everyone. I used to use that one in high school a lot. From a young man who was taking bribes from truck drivers right out in that parking lot, we caught him. And I confronted him. I said, what are you doing? Why are you bribing the drivers to get in the loading dock? I said, no, Mr. Moore, I'm not bribing anybody. I'm simply having the guy pay me back for a loan I made him for Cokes he was buying. Really? Then I had a person looking right in my eyes, standing with me, talking to me, and said, I really like your haircut. That couldn't possibly be true. And the classic PacMoore lie, when somebody doesn't want to be busted for not doing their job, is, I wasn't trained on that. Yeah, you guys know that one. That one's hot. Any of those sounding like something you've used? Embracing the value of integrity means we recognize we have a natural bent towards lying. We all do. We have a natural bent towards lying. Embracing the value of integrity means we have to believe that lying is wrong. We got to believe that. One reason for me to accept that lying is wrong is because God says lying is wrong. If God says it's wrong, I think it's wrong. Let me just read one verse from the Scripture. The Bible says this, there are 6 things that God hates, 7 that are detestable to Him. Lustful eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Those are the things that God hates, and lying is on that list. At PacMoore, we all agree lying is wrong and won't be accepted. Lying at PacMoore can have significant consequences. Because we are in the food industry, we are potentially putting a person's life or the entire company at risk by lying or hiding a mistake. Food contamination can kill people. You got to know that. Food contamination can kill people that have allergies to those products. People die from this stuff. The company can be shut down if we contaminate food products. We can be shut down because we can lose millions of dollars in one contamination. If that contamination reaches the public, it gets out into the public, and it becomes knowledge to the rest of our customer base could walk out of PacMoore, every one of them, in a matter of days. We'd be done. One contamination could do that. You got to be honest when you know things are wrong. If you see a mistake, if you skip a step, if something goes wrong, you have to be honest and say, I did that or I saw that. It's critical to your fellow workers and to the company. It's critical to you. It's critical to the people that we serve. You have to tell a supervisor. You know, you rarely find that we fire people that make a mistake. You'll be hard-pressed to find that. But you will find plenty of people that have been fired for lying at PacMoore. Another consequence of lying is that it tears down your self-image. Most of us lose respect for ourselves because we've lied and we know it. And the more you do it, the more of your own self-respect erodes and goes away. You know, my personal theory is that most people don't suffer from self-image issues because of what somebody said to them or how they look in the mirror. It's because of the lies they tell themselves and the lies they live. I think that's where most of us struggle with self-respect. Lying destroys your self-respect. Lying also tears down the trust that we have with each other. It just rips it apart. When you see me manipulate the truth, or you see your peer manipulate the truth, you lose all respect for them. You don't trust them anymore. Lying breaks down respect and trust between coworkers. To build integrity into our character, we have to stop accepting lying in our own behavior first. You can't look at the guy next to you and say, you need to stop lying. You got to look at yourself first and stop accepting lying in your own behavior. We need to carefully watch our words each day. And when we do tell a lie, we need to go confess to the person that we spoke that lie to. We got to say, I'm sorry, and ask for forgiveness. There'll be times at PacMoore when you do that and it'll look like the truth is going to cost you a lot. You're going to think, I'm going to lose my job if I tell the truth. Or PacMoore could lose a customer if I say something here. But I'm telling you, you got to find it in yourself to be determined to tell the truth even when that cost looks high to you. Because integrity is a part of your character and it matters. People with integrity tell the truth. They tell the truth. Integrity is also described by consistency. The PacMoore value of integrity says this: our words will be consistent with our actions. Integrity is lived when I tell you I'm going to give you a raise and I do it that week. I did what I said I was going to do. That's integrity. Integrity is lost when I forget that you asked for a raise and I promised it and you got to come back and ask me again. I lose integrity when I do that. Integrity is lived when my customer calls and talks to you and says, I need an inventory report from you by 2 o'clock, and you say, I'll get it done. And you get it done before 2 o'clock. Integrity's won. It's gained by that. Integrity's lost when that same customer has to call you back the next day and remind you that you didn't do it. You didn't do what you said you would do. That's lost integrity. Integrity is lived when you come tell us that you really need a job at PacMoore. I need this job. And you're the first one on the production line every day and you're the last one to leave. That's a person that lives out their words, that lives what they say. Integrity is lost when you come tell us, I really need that job, and you're the last one out on that production line every day and you're the first one to leave when the clock strikes your time to go. Integrity is lost when you behave that way. Your words do not match your actions. A person with integrity is mindful of the cost of every commitment they make before they make it. When you got somebody standing in front of you and they're telling you, I need you to do it, you're mindful of what they're saying. And you're mindful of the deadline they're giving you. And you're mindful of the work they're asking you to do. And you're listening to them before you say, oh yeah, no problem, I got it. You're listening to say, no, when I say I got it, it means I got it. And I will do exactly as I committed to do. That's what integrity looks like. A person with integrity works hard to keep those promises. Can you think of one commitment you've made here at PacMoore to the company or to your coworkers that you consistently break? Can you think of one commitment that you've made to PacMoore or to your coworkers that you consistently break? Did you know over 70% of employees in the United States use the internet at work each day for something other than work on time that's not work-related time, but actually on time that's work-related time? Most employees, if you ask them when you're on the internet, they'll say, no, I'm on break and lunch when I do it. That's not true. 70% of employees use the internet during work hours and not for work-related stuff. If you go back and add that up for PacMoore, we would lose over $1 million a year if that were actually the case. Can you imagine that kind of loss? That's huge. The Bible says this: when a man makes a vow or takes an oath to obligate himself by a pledge, he must not break his word, but must do everything he said. You don't break our word. We make a commitment, we keep a commitment. I spoke with a man that was selling garlic to the king of Morocco We were trying to work out a trade. And the king of Morocco was a Muslim guy, and he said, man, I love working with the Christian guys. In fact, I prefer doing trading with Christian guys around the globe. And I asked the guy, why is that? Why would he say that to you? And he said, Christians are concerned about keeping their promises. It hurts them when they break a promise. I like working with people like that. I recently was working on life insurance. You got to think about that when you get to my age, and got to take care of your family. And if something happens to me, my wife and kids need to be taken care of. So I was working on life insurance, and about a year and a half ago, I met with a young guy that I really liked. And I got to know him, and I made a commitment to him that I would buy insurance through him. I said, you're going to be a part of my team. I'm working on this estate planning stuff and all my wills and this, and I want you to do the life insurance for me. So I want to commit to you right now that I'm going to buy insurance from you, but you're going to work as a bigger team to help me figure out what the right thing to do is. And he said, that's great, Bill. And he worked a long time. He came back with a proposal when we needed it, and I looked at his proposal and I hated it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like what he's proposing. And I went and talked to other guys. All my counselors said, that's a bad proposal. That's not a good plan. So I found another guy to give me another proposal, and I liked his proposal, so I went ahead and chose his proposal. 2 weeks ago, that young man that I promised to buy insurance from called me and said, I never expected you would break a promise. Never. You're the last guy I ever thought. Do you remember you promised me to buy that insurance from me? And I literally sat on the phone. I didn't speak for a minute. I just couldn't believe I had done that. I was shocked that I had done that. That hour, I sat down and I wrote an email to that whole group of people, and I explained what I did. And I apologized to that guy publicly and committed to them I'd make what was right wrong. And we've since then worked out an arrangement where he would be taken care of and the other guy would be taken care of, and we worked out a mutually agreeable plan. But it was humiliating to have to do that. It was humiliating. But I broke a promise, and I was bound to make it right because it was the right thing to do. PacMoore employees can be trusted because we keep our promises. Our words consistently match our actions. Integrity is truth and it's consistency. The last facet of integrity is accountability. Our integrity value says, and we will be accountable for what we say and what we do. It's often said a good manager holds his people accountable. That's not true. That's not true. A person cannot be held accountable by another person. I'm accountable if I accept responsibility for my behavior. That's accountability. But I have to accept a responsibility for my behavior. That's accountability. That happens in my heart. And because what happens in my heart, you cannot control. You can't control me being accountable. You can't do it. So you holding me accountable is not possible. Let me illustrate. You come talk to me, you sit down at my desk and say, Bill, the other day you said something to me and it really hurt my feelings. I can respond in one of two ways. I could say, wow, I can't believe I said that. I'm really sorry. I hope you'll forgive me. I can feel bad about that. Or I can look at you and say, you know what, I didn't do that. I'm not sure what you're talking about. That's not what's going on here. You got it all wrong. Both of those situations, I'm experiencing something in my heart. And I have the choice to do something, but it's responding what my heart's telling me. I can deny responsibility or take responsibility, but that all comes from inside of me. That taking accountability comes from inside of me. You telling me that does not hold me accountable. It simply gives me the opportunity to take responsibility. And that's the difference. A manager can't hold you responsible for anything. You're either accountable for what you do or you're not. It's either inside of you or it's not. And if it's not inside of you, what you will do is blame others when you fail. If you don't take responsibility for your behavior, you'll blame everybody else for why things are going wrong. PacMoore employees accept full responsibility for our behavior. That's what we do. We don't blame others. We don't try to avoid consequences for our poor performance. We allow others to give us feedback. We listen to them. We raise our hand quickly when somebody says there was a failure, and we say, that one's mine. That was my fault. We seek forgiveness when we fail others. We ask people for forgiveness. We admit our failures. Then we correct our behavior. We don't keep doing the same thing over. We turn the opposite direction and we go the other way and fix what's wrong. We're accountable for what we say and for what we do. The game of golf is one of the greatest sports in the world, and many of you guys probably hate watching golf on TV. You probably don't even know what golf is. You don't like it. But golf is an amazing sport for one reason. It's one of the only sports, if not the only sport in the world, where the athlete holds himself accountable for his behavior. There's not judges everywhere that can watch golfers. Can't do it. It's not possible. So the code of ethics for golfers is that when you do something wrong, you have to know all the rules, and when you violate the rules, you call yourself on the infraction. That's the code of ethics. It was hallmarked by one of the greatest golfers in the world. His name was Bobby Jones. In 1925, he's playing in the Masters. It's an amazingly huge event. He's the lead guy. He's the best golfer in the world at the time. He hits a shot off the tee. It goes into the rough. He walks to the rough. Nobody's around him. He's already got his club. He knows what he's going to hit. His caddy's way over there. There's no people around him. And he's standing in the rough, and he's looking at his shot. And he moves a little bit to, like, maybe take a practice swing, and the ball moved a little bit, just a little bit. He took his scorecard out, took a one-stroke penalty, stuck his card back in his pocket, hit the shot, went in, finished the round. He ends up losing the round. They pulled his card. I didn't say anything to anybody. They took his card out and said, hey, you took a one-stroke penalty. What happened? He said, my ball moved a little bit while I was in the rough. That's integrity. Now let me contrast it to 88 years later, the #1 golfer in the world. Who is he? Tiger Woods, standing at the same tournament, the Masters, playing the same tournament. He's standing in the middle of the fairway. The world's watching. Cameras are on him. There's millions of people watching him. Hits one of the best shots you've ever seen. Flies the ball, bounces on the green, hits the stick, and rolls all the way back down into the water. It was unbelievable. I mean, devastating. He has to drop the ball. So he goes back 3 feet behind where he hit the shot and drops the ball. Takes his shot, hits it on the green. A guy that had played, that was a professional golfer, called the judges on his cell phone and said, Tiger Woods just broke a rule. And the rule is this: you have to place the ball when you drop the ball as close to the original shot as possible. A 3 feet drop behind the ball is not as close as possible. Tiger Woods intentionally did that to get a better lie so he could hit the shot close to the pin the next time. And everybody knew it. And they called him on it. And he argued about it. And then he did the same thing again at the BMW Championship several months ago. He had a ball in the rough that moved, and he argued and he argued and he argued. Instead of taking accountability for his actions, he argued about them. He left his wife and his kids, and he argues about that. See, he's a man without integrity. He's missing something. Something's missing in his heart. Something's wrong. That's what integrity doesn't look like. Bobby Jones is what it does look like. I had the same thing happen to me. When I first started this company, I had customers. My first blending customers called ADM, Archer Daniels Midland. And I had told them I could blend this product. I had no idea how to do it, but I said I could. I knew I'd figure it out. They gave me millions of pounds of work to do. I had to put a liquid into a powder. And I'd never done that before. So I went out and bought a pump, and I bought this tubing, and I hooked it all up, and it was working. And I'm like, I did it. I was so excited. They called me back a week later and said, we found black specks in the powder. And I went, oh my gosh, what's going on? I went out and found out the tubing I used was black PVC tubing, and the lecithin was dissolving the tubing and putting it into the powder. I made a mistake, and I had a choice. Am I going to tell them I didn't know what I was doing, or would I just say, hey, it's not from us, I don't know what you're talking about? Because if I told them what we were doing, I could probably lose. In fact, I thought for sure I'm going to lose all the business. They're not going to trust me. I told them I knew what I was doing, I didn't, and then I did it wrong. They're never going to give me this business. It's not going to happen. This is going to kill me. This is all I got. That was my decision. You know what I did? I talked to my wife and I prayed, talked to some friends, and the counsel I got was do the right thing, dude. Just do the right thing. Let the chips land where they were. So I called the lady back. I'll never forget her. She was a dear friend of mine then, Linda Kitson. She said, Linda, I made a mistake. I used the wrong tubing. That's where the black specks are coming from. I didn't realize it. I found a way to fix it. It's fixed. It won't happen again. I know what I'm doing, and I'll take full responsibility for what I did. And Linda said, Bill, I've never, ever heard somebody call me with that kind of phone call before. Don't worry, you're not going to lose the business. And in fact, what happened, Linda went on to give me millions and millions of dollars worth of business from that company, and it launched PacMoore in the blending business. 2 years later, we had a fire that wiped out that entire plant. A fireman died. Lost everything in one night. The next day, those people from ADM were standing on that site. Fire's still burning. The firemen are there. The dogs are there. I mean, I'm getting interrogated by the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms because the fireman died. They thought I killed him. And she's standing there with those people from ADM, and they had their arms around me. And they said, Bill, build it. We'll be back. Get it up as fast as you can. We'll be back. I said, why are you guys doing this? They said, we've never met somebody more that we trust than you. And this business of food processing is about trust. And you got integrity. We trust you. That's what integrity looks like. That's where it comes from. And that's the kind of risk we take with our integrity. People with integrity are highly respected by their peers. They're highly respected by their customers and their family. And oftentimes, when you do the right thing, when you live up to standards that are higher than the ones that others live up to, you will be respected and you will actually prosper from that. God will honor that and He will help you through that time. And what you think might go bad might not go bad. It might actually turn out well. PacMoore employees work with integrity. PacMoore employees tell the truth under all circumstances, even when the cost is high. Our words are consistent with our actions, and we are accountable for what we say and what we do. Our PacMoore values are faith, family, integrity, respect, and excellence. Our values create trust, and our values create one community. They create one family. They create one PacMoore. PacMoore values. Now, if you want to join me, I'm going to pray for you. You don't have to if you don't like to pray. That's not part of who you are, but I'm going to pray for you right now. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for my friends and my family here at PacMoore. I love these dear people, Lord, and I love the time we have together. I love the way they work and how they work. I love the values they share and the ones that we have in common. And Father, I ask that you bless us now. Fill us with your Spirit so we may live out these values, so that we may be people of integrity, honesty, truth, consistency, accountability, Lord. Help us live that now, Father. Help us treat each other well and do the right thing, Lord, for you. Lift us up, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, you guys, thanks for your time. Have a great day, all right?